Next up for Jackson State University is its bitter rival, Southern University, down in Baton Rouge. Okay. Jackson State coming off a loss. Southern's coming off a loss. Okay. So both teams ought to be pissed off. So that ought to add a little fire to the already heated rivalry. Okay. So let's talk about it briefly. Okay. Let's talk about it briefly. But before we do, make sure you hit that subscribe button. I am your homeboy first. This is the realest, most entertaining sports show in the game. Put it on something, okay? Again, hit that subscribe button. Share to all of your people, okay? And put all of them on it, okay? Let's go ahead and get into it. Let's get into it. We ain't gonna be too long on it. All right. Like I said, Southern is coming off a loss just like Jack State is, okay? They didn't lose by as much as we did, okay? But they did take a loss, okay? They lost 14-10 to Alabama State. In terms of the stats, through the air, Southern had 166 yards, and that's on 17 of 35, okay? Their quarterback, Harold Blood, was 17 of 34 for that 166. That's 4.9. That's a 4.9 average. Okay, 1 touchdown, 2 picks. Okay, so our starting quarterback JB was underwhelming in our game. Their starting quarterback was underwhelming as well. Okay, in terms of on the ground, Southern gained 69 yards against Alabama State. That's on 27 attempts, so that was 2.6 per rush. Okay, so I'm sure they're not pleased with that. They had 6 penalties for 50 yards. They had 4 turnovers, 2 fumbles lost, 2 picks thrown, as I talked about previously. So they didn't have a good one. Okay. Their points, all of their points were scored in the first half, so they got blanked in the second. Kind of like shit, we got blanked in the first half. So you see what I'm saying? Both teams ought to be mad as hell. Because neither one went out there and handled business. I know Jack State got more of the fanfare for our loss. Okay, yeah, it was on ESPN. Yeah, we haven't lost a SWAC game in quite some time. Yeah, we talk a lot of shit. Okay, and we are highly visible on social media. Okay, but Southern is a brand too, and they were the ones, if I'm not mistaken, picked to win the SWAC West. If I'm not mistaken, I had to double check on that. Okay. But I think they were picked to win the SWAC West, and then they came out the gate. We weren't even picked to win the SWAC East. Okay, I think our resounding win against South Carolina State changed some of the narrative. Okay, but remember going in, motherfucker, they didn't think we were gonna do that. We got one all SWAC performer. That's on first team or second team, Mr. Stevens. So folks wouldn't even look for us to do nothing but Southern. They thought they were going to do something. And they may still do something, okay? But I'm sure they're disappointed by their opening effort, okay? Now, in last year's game, of course, we beat them 35-0 at the vet. And it's hard to really gauge things from a year-to-year basis now. Not only because of the coaching change, but with all these all this movement with this transfer portal and everything, you know, about these teams are so different from year to year. Okay. But if you can gauge anything, you know, from the coaching philosophy, maybe when you have the same coach, at least on their side of things, maybe you can glean something from it, maybe. But look at FAMU. Okay, they had Willie Simmons last year, and they were dead last in the SWAC in rushing. Okay, but they came out in this game and put 200 on us on the ground. So who knows? Maybe things maybe emphasis, maybe the emphasis will be different for Southern this year. We shall see. We won 35-0, as I said previously. We only gave up 85 yards through the air. They were 9 of 26 through the air. Boy, that defense was special. Okay. They kind of held us down through the air too, though, last year. Okay, they held Shador down. That kind of shit. It's kind of why Shador was saying what he was saying after he just climbed on TCU like they were like, shit, that's the most yards I've thrown for in my whole life. I was just at a HBCU, so this shit looking easy. You know what I'm talking about? Because in this game, we threw for 208 against Southern last year, 19 to 34. No picks. Okay. But 19 to 34 for Shador, that ain't like him. Okay. But what we did to them, held them to 85 yards passing on 9 of 26. Okay. They did have 136 yards on the ground, but they had 41 attempts. Okay. So that was only 3.3 yards a rush. So really, we held them down there as well. Okay. They had 9 penalties last year, I 7. Again, it's hard to glean things, you know, since definitely our roster is so different. Okay. But I don't know, y'all. Okay. Mr. Quarles led the way for them on the ground with 8 carries for 30 yards. Okay. Mr. Blood, the quarterback, he had 8 carries himself for 22 yards. Okay. The leading receiver was a Mr. Howard with 3 catches for 42 yards with a long of 20. Okay. So this ought to be interesting, man. It's Jackson State Southern. What the hell else do you need? And what else is there to say? Last time we were down there, it was a movie. Yeah, I remember that. Okay. That's that game where we pulled that bitch out and Shador threw that touchdown. And I think Shiloh got that pick. And I think Prime had just came up out the hospital or something and was over there. It was a movie. Okay, so when we link up, it's gonna be fireworks. And like I said, both teams are coming off disappointing performances. So this ought to be interesting. Ought to be a interesting week of shit talk on social media. Okay, I'm sure both fan bases are prepared. Okay, maybe after all the bullets and arrows have been slung and shot from this weekend's performance, maybe the real good shit talk that we know of from Jack State and Southern will commence, and it may have already commenced. Okay. So we shall see what happens. Let me know what y'all think gonna go down in Baton Rouge between Jack State University and Southern. All right, put it on something.
Please subscribe to my daddy's YouTube channel because the more subscribers he gets, the more attractive he looks to sponsors. The more attractive he looks to sponsors, the more money he can make. And the more money he can make, the more money he can spend on me.